I'm gonna thank the veteran from the Vietnam, I believe, for coming here. Wait, is he?
Mr. deAnda
Yeah.
and his wife, Miss deAnda.
Yeah. And we are very thankful for them to be here tonight. And can we get started with our prayer? Trevor? Yeah.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful day, and please bless that we'll have a good time listening into the Vietnam veteran today, and please bless us that we'll learn things. And please bless that we'll come home safely. And thank you for all you've given us and done for us. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
All right. I'm for pledge allegiance. Is that?
Yeah,
All right. All right. Can everybody please stand? All those in civilian clothes, put your right hand over your heart. All those in uniform, salute. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Two. You may be seated. All right. Brandon.
I'm looking. It's on the back of the book then.
Will the audience please rise? Please follow me in the scout. Please follow me in the scout line.
Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Thank you.
Hey! Alright, the audience please rise for the scout oath. Andrew? Brent? Attention? Attention, guys? Attention? Okay, on my honor,
I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
two. You may not be seated because. No, wait, you may.
All right, guys, everybody grab a seat. We got a special guest tonight. You grab a seat. Okay, guys, did we have a fun time camping?
Wait, you guys came?
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
And you guys, I'm real proud of you guys. Did some good cooking. You guys learned how to use axes. You learned.
Thank you.
Everybody come back with their fingers. We did axes. We did wood splitting. So we learned some good outdoor skills.
And wait, just so you know, my dad's probably going to tell you the next thing like 15 times, because he told me it like 15 times.
Being safe, probably.
No, about the next camp out.
Oh yes, we got another camp out coming up.
Can I say it?
Yes.
Alright, so the next camp out, we're going to be going, I don't know where yet, but we're going to hike up in the mountains, and we're going to have our little special stove with us, and we're going to cook our food up in the mountains, and then we're going to come back down to our tents.
Yeah, we got a camp out, a real special camp out plan. But before that, guys, we're gonna have a special guest tonight. Now remember last month, we had a World War II veteran, and he came and spoke to us, Mr. Madrada. Madrano, yes, he was an American hero. And you know why he was a hero?
Because he did war in World War II, and he didn't actually have to go to war, but he didn't know that.
Yes, but you know what? What made him a hero is because he served our country and protected us and kept us free. But also, what makes a hero besides, what's the scout law is being brave, right? So when bullets are flying, I bet it's very, very scary. But he was brave, but also what makes a hero is doing the right thing when nobody's watching. So, pardon me?
Integrity.
Yes, but you know how he did the right thing when nobody was watching? He's 92 years old, and he's still serving the troops. He's volunteering. Do you think he's getting paid to do that?
No.
Is anybody watching him do it?
No.
No, he's just doing it because it's the right thing to do. So being a hero is not only being brave, it's doing the right thing when nobody's watching. Now, we're gonna hear a story tonight. Mr. deAnda, he was in a very bad, bloody war. But he also, is that respectful, Nathan?
Sorry, I was trying to put it back, but I didn't know how without.
Okay. So, listen up, guys, this is real important, we're gonna learn some stuff. So like we learned from Mr. Vedrano, we learned about, you know what I learned also from him? He was very humble, and he took responsibility for his own actions. When he kept bugging the sergeant to take the Jeep, does everybody remember what happened? Him and his buddies took the Jeep, and then they got shot at. And they had to call the sergeant, and the sergeant, what did the sergeant do?
You sent over troops.
He sent out the Marines to rescue them, and then he had to send an aircraft to rescue them. And then when they were rescued, and the commander was so mad at them for taking the Jeep, and wanted to know who gave him the Jeep, what did he do?
He said destroy them.
He took responsibility. He did not blame it on anybody else. He took the responsibility.
Yeah.
He took the responsibility, and he didn't, even though they said he was gonna get court-martialed and put in jail. And that's also what makes a hero. He did the right thing. So today, we're gonna hear Mr. deAnda's story. He's gonna tell us his story. And his story, he's doing the right thing, because not only was he very brave in the war, he's a hero now because what he's doing when nobody's watching. And I bet he's spent a lot of his own money and time to do the right thing. So we're gonna let him talk, but do we wanna shout out questions to them? No, if we got a question, we're gonna raise our hand, okay? We're gonna be respectful. So we're gonna turn the time over to Mr. deAnda, and he's gonna tell us his story.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. I'm going to tell you briefly about my background, where I'm from, and how I ended up where I did. I'm Californian. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and spent all of my childhood in Venice, California. I don't know if you know exactly where that is. It's down south from here by the ocean. And it was a pretty neat place when I was growing up. It was a lot like Thousand Oaks and Simi Valley was back when, except it had ocean next to it, which you guys don't have. It was mainly farmlands and rural, and then it grew into, unfortunately, houses and apartments and buildings, and became very crowded. So we moved out to Thousand Oaks. But before I did that, after high school, I went to college for a while. Then I decided the Vietnam War started, and I decided I would go in because it was just a matter of being drafted out. So I volunteered for the draft. And the reason I volunteered for the draft, because I had other ambitions than just being in the military, and decided that I wanted to put 2 years in and out. Well, I had an option, figured I wanted to go with a unit that would be, probably serve me the best and probably have a better chance of coming back. And so I joined the Marine Corps, which was a big mistake. There's 4 branches, now I guess there's 5 branches of the military in the United States. You know, there's the Army, the Navy, which the Marine Corps is part of the Navy. We don't like to admit it, but we do. There's the Air Force, and there's the Coast Guard. Okay, so the difference between the Marine Corps and these other branches is the Marine Corps is always the tip of the sword. It is always the first in and the last out. So therefore, our position is more risky necessarily. Not to say that the other ones don't serve well and they don't lose a lot of men, unfortunately, like we do. But they're always at the tip of the sword. So I went to Vietnam, I did my tour there, and this is basically what this is about, and we'll talk about my tour there, and we'll talk about that after. Yes?
Do you have a USB to like
Do you have a USB to like show all the pictures?
I'm sorry, I
A
don't,
USB.
oh, USB?
It's a video.
It's a video.
Oh,
Okay.
on the USB?
Just
On the-
on the video player,
Oh.
sweetie.
Right. It's on the stick. So,
Just go to USB port.
huh?
Just go to USB.
Okay. Anyway, what we were saying is, we're gonna talk a little bit about how I ended up to where I am now. And I wanna show you this video, because the video kind of brings us fast forward real quick to what we're doing and why we're doing it. And then once the video's done, I'm gonna tell you a little bit more in depth about what actually happened there, okay? So let me see if I can get this thing going in the right direction real quick. How do we get back? Here we go. You have to close your eyes.
It's just dots, we can't see.
I know. Okay. Let's see, hopefully the volume is low. Can you hear that all right?
Yeah.
We are ritualistic people in our society. We want to take care of our dead. And the worst thing that bothered my father was they didn't take care of their dead.
I remember when you left, the day you left, on the front steps, I said, you know, Daddy, I don't want you to go because I'm really scared that you won't come back. I don't know why I felt that way, because I was only 6.5, but I felt very strongly that I would not see him again.
Prove to me that he's dead. Prove to me that he's dead. Where is he? What happened to him? I don't know. I just know that I'm just, like I said, I'm waiting for an open door to this day.
I remember when I watched you with the parachute and everything, especially going to visit you at your office and letting me jump on your tummy and I love you and all that. There was something about you.
We must remember that we cannot today, as much as some might want to, close this chapter in our history. For the war in Southeast Asia still haunts a small but brave group of Americans, the families of those still missing in the Vietnam conflict. We write no last chapters. We close no books. We put away no final memories. An end to America's involvement in Vietnam cannot come before we have achieved the fullest possible accounting of those missing in action.
Then we talked to her, and she tells us, remember, that Roger came to her village the next morning after the battle.
Yeah.
In the NBA had him in a hammock because he was shot here, and he came out of his back. So there's Louis Luxon right there. My name is Richard deAnda. I am the founder of MA Recovery. I served with the United States Marine Corps. In April 21st of 1967, we fought in what is considered the bloodiest battle in Vietnam. Following the battle, we found that one of our comrades, Roger Hamilton, was missing.
She would say to us, I know where David is, we buried him, but I don't know where Roger is, and I don't know what's happening to him. And when you don't know where one of your children is, she said it's unbearable. And then I think when my father and she separated, I think that was the end for her, because I know she still loved him, and he still loved her, but it was just too much.
His mother committed suicide because she did not have any answers. 44 years after Roger went missing, I have an answer. It's too bad I didn't have an answer sooner. Following the Vietnam War, there were over 1,600 U.S. servicemen missing. I've looked at every single case involving the 1,600 plus, and I truly believe that we can find a great deal of them. Their bodies are still on the battlefield.
It was the 82nd Division. Does Lynn know what it was the second?
Ông bà gì đó khi mà người ta cả ông cho đi á, có yếu cái gì hơn á. Lúc mà anh được kiếm, chị đang kiếm, mà nó không được kiếm. Nobody there looked like they were still alive.
Right. So, but I know a lot of people are dead back then. So we don't know if we don't try. Okay? So that's the bottom line. We don't know if we don't try. Okay? So, but anyway. Okay. Well, do you want to make a new doctrine? It never goes away.
Last thing I told Deb when she called in tonight, she said, I don't want to intrude, I think, is what she said. And she said, oh, and I don't want to open. I said, you can't open up something that has never been closed.
Unlike then, now everyone has a cell phone. Social media, everyone uses it. So now it's just a matter of going back there, publicizing it, either through social media or going and knocking on doors and trying to find out who remembers what back then. I know this can be done. All you have to do is go out there and make the effort. And within 24 hours, I found a young lady who was 58 years old. She was 11 years of age at the time of the battle. She actually saw Roger in captivity. He was severely wounded. He was brought into her village and was going to be taken to a med station that was managed by the North Vietnamese. He never made it there.
I think he's here between here and the top. I don't think he made it further. I think it's, you know, really healthy, but look at today.
We were able to reduce the search area for Roger from kilometers to basically the face of the hill. The face of the hill is very rugged. It's going to require a lot of effort and probing to find Roger. I know with the incentive program, social media, and experienced investigators, we'll find a lot of our missing.
It is unimaginable to have your child, your father, your brother, your uncle leave for duty and not only never return, but to live day to day not knowing where they are or what became of them. We have an urgent call to action. Our witnesses are aging and dying. We need to act now. These soldiers missing in action gave the supreme sacrifice. They each wrote the ultimate blank check to answer our country's call. Their families still pay the price every day while they remain missing. We need your support to accomplish this task at hand. We ask that you help us locate their remains and bring them home again by visiting us at www.miarecovery.org and donating to this worthy cause. On behalf of MIA Recovery and the families of those missing, we genuinely and deeply thank you.
Pause button.
So let me tell you how this came about. 44 years after this battle that we were in, and I'll tell you a little bit about the battle, how it came about. I received an email from someone that I haven't heard in 44 years. It says, those of us who survived are going to have a reunion. Come join us. It was kind of bittersweet, if you know. I was interested, but then again, didn't want to open that door up again because I had it pretty much closed in my life, and decided to go ahead and go. And I went. And it was a 3-day meeting, reunion, and it was held back east at in Virginia. And when we went back there, the first night was getting to know all these old people that I didn't recognize, because as 44 years goes by, you don't look the same as you did when you were 18, 19, 20 years old. So we threw down pictures, and everyone said, "That's me." I said, "Oh my goodness, you've aged so well." Needless to say, that's not necessary. So, and so we enjoyed getting to know each other again, and having quite a few drinks, and just lying to each other and doing a few other things. But the second night, we sat down, and those of us who were in this battle had a meeting of actually what happened, because it's in the Marine Corps history, in the archives there of what happened. Their rendition and what actually happened are completely opposite, because they need to protect themselves as opposed to what really happened, in which there was miscommunication, which caused quite a few unfortunate lives. But that's just a small part of it. So ultimately, the third night is we had a dinner, and everyone just got up a little bit and introduced themselves at the podium. And what came to our reunion were a lot of the families of the people who lost their lives that day. And in that group were two sisters that came up, and they said, "Our brother never came home. No one knows what happened to him. The government doesn't know what happened to him." And we kind of all looked at each other. And in fact, in ours who survived, we have our captain retired as a 2-star general. He was shocked. He didn't know that this had happened. Not only that, we have a senator who was actually part of our group, who he didn't know, no one knew. When the battle had happened, so let me back up a little bit, and I'll tell you. The reason I'm showing you that helicopter there is because that's where I lived for 4 months.
On that helicopter?
No, on the hill, on the dirt below it.
Oh.
Okay, and what that is called Louis Laxon, and Louis Laxon is an outpost in the middle of nowhere. It was the furthest outpost away from any friendly forces, and they put one little Marine Corps company of 120 of us out there all by ourselves, which the closest friendlies to us were 40 kilometers away, but there was no trails to us, no nothing. It was just simply jungle between us and them, so the only way there is by air. And our closest support was Phantom jets. Those are fighter jets out of Da Nang, which took a half hour to get to us. It would take about a half hour, what's called, to get to us. So we were out there pretty much all by ourselves. And we were there from January of 67, January, February, March, and April of 67. And we fought off that hill. What that actually turned out to be was a CIA listening post. And 2 weeks after we established ourselves there, in comes these unmarked helicopters with all this equipment and set up a compound within our compound. And the CIA is monitoring the enemy troop movements down through this valley, because it is the richest valley in Vietnam, and it's the most populated valley in Vietnam with the enemy. There was a division of North Vietnamese and a division of VC. The VC are the local guerrilla fighters. The North Vietnamese are the trained army that fight for the North. And so what we would do during the daytime, because there was a lot more of them than us, we would sit and watch them and see what they were doing and so forth with our binoculars. That at night, we'd go down the hill and set up ambushes, and we'd have fallback positions, because we always knew that there was more of them than us. Yes?
When would you guys sleep?
Very, very seldom. We slept a few hours at night and a few hours in the day. But typically, you didn't sleep much there. And to answer your question too, we had so let me bring up another topic since you brought that up. Because we knew there was more of them than us, we thought that they would try to run us over. In other words, run over our hill and take us out, all of us. So what we'd have a thing called stand to and stand down. And so a half hour before dusk, before the sun went down, we'd all stand up on the hill. The hill was it was in the middle of this valley. It was very tall. It was 336 meters high from the ground floor. So it was pretty high. We had a very dominant position in this valley. And we had the entire hill, so we could see everything around us. And So, and it had these huge volcanic rocks as big as this room, if not bigger, that were there. And we would dig under them, and that's where we would live, in the dirt under the rocks. They'd put sandbags, and that's where we would live. But anyway, we would all stand up, every one of us would stand up a half hour before the sun went down, and all armed, ready to fight. And then a half hour after the sun went down, 2/3 of us would go lay down, go to sleep, and then we'd take shifts. A half hour before dawn, we'd all stand up again and be the same way, so they would think, geez, these guys never sleep, they're up all night. So it would, and it worked, it did. So, but that was something that we implemented to protect ourselves. We mined the entire hill, we had barbed wire all the way around the hill and stuff, and we only had 3 different paths out, and we would make, at night, when we would leave the hill, we would leave in small groups, and we would make noise on one side so somebody could go off the other side of the hill, go down a different path off the hill that was safe to go down. So we were very successful for January, February, and March, and most of April. We accounted for what was called 1/4 of all the enemy kills and captured weapons of the entire Marine Corps, which is pretty significant because there's almost 80 companies like us there, and we're one little one, and we're very successful. And as our captain would say, we're in a very rich enemy environment, so we're expected to do this. Anyway, we're very successful. Now we, yes?
How many were there in them? So there was 120 you guys, and then there were how many of them?
All total about 10,000. So the odds were a little off, but the odds were good for us to do what we were doing, but
So
not
how many were in your company?
120. So, and our water, we never bathed. Our water came in through helicopters. The only supplies we ever had came in through air. So ammo, we ate 2 sea rations a day, 1 in the morning, 1 at night, and that's all we ate. And we were very lean, very strong. And we were filthy, okay, because we didn't bathe for almost four months. And all the time I was there, I won't show you the picture, but we actually bathed, I bathed twice, and usually because of the rain. You know, when it rained, you know, somebody had a bar of soap, and we were fortunate enough to bathe down. And we'll talk about that. This is not a camping trip, believe me. It's, the Marine Corps is very different than going camping, even though you live out in the dirt, but that's your home.